welcome back. Another episode of Rimshots with Sean. My good buddy Shaky White here. Thought what we would do, so our first episode that we did with Shaky, we just, we chewed the fat. We talked about Farewell Town. If you're following along in your notebooks, we talked about some of the things that he's done. We talked about some of the shows that he's played. We talked about them doing a new album. But now what we want to do is we want to talk about some of his gear. I always get kind of the hack that, you're all about drummers. And yeah, I am. You know what? I personally think it's the bass players. The drummers get screwed the hardest in all this, right? But, we've had Ryan. You have a guy like Shaky. He's got a ton of gear. So why don't you start showing off some of this hardware, man? Because
yeah, absolutely. So this is a Helm Custom. It's a Shaky White signature bass. This is the 5-string version. It's basically a prototype that me and Tyson at Helm Custom we designed it. So it's basically a jazz on the top,
right?
A P bass on the bottom, a Telecaster on the side.
Wow.
And also, I had a Lakeland bass, and it had a 35-inch scale, which is a regular bass is 34 inches. So this is an inch longer than a regular scale bass, and it just gives you a tighter beat.
Yeah.
So yeah, this design is great. It's still a prototype, but it came out great. It's got binding on the side. It's an antique white finish, swamp ash body with
beautiful neck. And I can vouch firsthand because you were playing this bass when we played at Dolan's, and that's a tight bass. It's got great tone.
Yeah, great bass.
Sounds amazing, even unamplified.
And I have the 4-string prototype version of the Shaky White signature bass.
So I like that, the Shaky White signature bass, man. Yeah. That is very cool.
So same idea. It's the jazz P bass Telly. This is the 4-string version. It's got Nordstrand jazz pickups, but these are Helm Custom pickups, which he did an amazing job on it. Same idea. It's got binding on the sides. It's a great bass, and it's also 35-inch scale, which is.
So one of the things that we'll mention, and hopefully we're not talking in the school, but you're now managing Fantasy Music.
Yeah, that's right.
Spring Garden Road.
Yeah.
And Shaking, it's funny, we have a little connection. I actually, in my former life, did their sign, and now there's a new sign going up. But if you go to Fantasy Music, Spring Garden Road, it's soon to be, are we allowed to say what it's going to be called?
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
Citadel Music is going to be the new rebrand.
Very cool. Yeah. And it's a really neat shop. When they first opened, there was it was kind of cluttered, and it's very open now. You can go in and find some really cool things. That's where these basses are going through, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So not the Helm Custom ones. Those are strictly from Tyson, but I have recently got a Sire bass, which we do sell over there. It's a Marcus Miller bass, and I've owned the Fender Marcus Miller stuff, and those are so expensive, and I don't think they make them anymore. But anyways, Marcus Miller teamed up with Sire to make really affordable basses. So they go from, they have the starter line, and they go all the way up to, crazy. This is like a medium one, but I love it. It's perfect for what I want. So yeah, I'll be playing Sires a lot. I have one on the way as well.
We were talking about that. Yeah. Were those the ones that you said you had on order with we played? Yeah. When was it? November?
Yeah.
It was before Christmas, and you were waiting for them.
I ordered in August, so yeah, it takes about a year almost to get them. Yeah.
Why is it? Is it because they're so
the chain
picky?
Right now?
Is that what it is?
So basically, all guitars are so hard to get right now just because of the chain. And these are handmade in Indonesia by 2 guys, handmade, you know what I mean? So they can only pump out so much, right?
Yeah.
And that's why they keep the quality too, right? And the price so low. So, but yeah, Sire basses, definitely got to check them out. We have a bunch at the store too. So.
Well, and, what's the address in Spring Garden again?
5512 Spring Garden.
Right, and it is a very cool shop.
Yep.
They carry all kinds of neat stuff, so go and check it out. So you're using what for? I don't remember what you have. You were playing direct, I think, when you played with us, were you not?
Yeah, usually I just play direct. Most of the time I have an Aguilar DB900 DI.
Right.
And it's a tube DI too, so you get that creamy tube tone, just direct. And I recently joined the Quilter family, so Quilter amplifiers in California. So basically my amp right now is a little pedal. It's this big, and it pumps out a lot of noise, and that goes into a Quilter cabinet that I have, and that's great.
So I don't mind when bass players don't carry gear when they're kind of lugging that type of thing.
When the gig's done, I'm like, hey,
yeah. Unlike Ryan, all you see is the hat going out the door, and half the stuff's still on the stage, right? But and you're rocking some pedals too. I don't remember you using that many for the show that we played.
Yeah,
but is that what you did? Yeah. So why don't you? I see the Quilter. Why don't you explain it a little bit? We got some shots of it.
Yeah, for sure. So the Quilter amp basically is the last in the chain before the DI, but it all starts on the volume pedal. That goes into the tuner on the top, and then that goes into a compressor, which is the Empress compressor, the blue one that's made in Ottawa, Canadian made. And that goes into a filter kind of effect. It's called the Bassballs. It was actually used on Pink Floyd record back in the 70s.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's that, and then that goes into reverb and delay, and I use that, pretty sparingly. The filter stuff, I use it when there's no keyboard player, and we have to kind of fill in those holes with some synthy stuff, so I use that. And reverb delay just makes it all pretty.
Well, we'll make sure we get some pictures of that to put up, because it's very clean.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, you see guitar, like Jordan's a good example. Jordan's got like 18,000 pedals. Yeah. How he gets those big friggin' feet and all the buttons, I don't know, but and he's very precise with what he has. But that's very compact. Yep. And that's the amp that you were talking about there in the bottom.
Yeah, that's the cabinet. So basically, that just goes right from the amp into the cabinet, and then So if I go to a gig and they have a cabinet like Dolan's, let's say, I just bring that pedal board and I go out of that pedal, my Quilter pedal, into a cabinet, any cabinet.
Yep.
It just sounds great.
And I mean, your sound's super clean, but I mean, here's the thing. All sound aside, it's in the fingers, right? So,
100%, yeah.
How long have you been playing? Because, I didn't know when we went to Dolan's. You told me, you had a career in football. We were sitting there talking about, chronic pain and stuff, and you mentioned, football injury. So you did that for a bit. Yeah. Were you playing football and music at the same time, or was it kind of a transition after?
So my dad was actually a professional bass player and was touring around.
Okay.
So when I was like 4 years old, I remember going to rehearsals, doing all this stuff. Started playing drums at 5. Played drums from 5 to 10. Guitar from 11 to 13, and then bass from 14 to now, and I didn't really look back. But I started playing football when I was 13. So right around 14, I kind of just stopped.
Yeah.
Played football until I was 22. So there's a big period where I didn't play. And then, I got back into it after the injury. I was in Montreal playing for the CJFL. Hurt my back, and I just didn't want to play football. I just didn't want to get hurt anymore. So, I started playing music again, and kind of haven't looked back.
Yeah, and the last couple of years have sucked. However, the people that are kind of doubling down and being tenacious, things are happening for them. Certainly you guys. Barstools and Bandtalk started out of the fact that I was doing a radio show and it was a sports show. Mm-hmm. Nobody to interview. What the heck? We'll try it for, I thought it was going to be 5 weeks, man. You mentioned the shutdown. The Saturday, we were supposed to go to Dolan's and play St. Paddy's Day. The Saturday night before, we were out at Big Leagues in Cole Harbour, and this is great. It was packed. It was like the bar in Star Wars, and no, it's shut down. Sure enough, boom, done. So, a lot of people that are working, a lot of good stuff is coming out of that. You got any predictions on what you might see? And I'm hopeful in the next week they're going to start going back to what we had. Not the big shows right away, but at least get out there and play.
Yeah, that's the hope. There are some big shows planned for the summertime.
Yeah.
That we have booked, and that'll be coming out pretty soon. So the hopes are that it's going that way, and the shows are coming back. So that's.
Well, and not to hijack your interview, but I'm one that's been pretty vocal about the fact that we got to get on with it, man. They're telling us to get vaccinated. Whether you're for it or against, it's not the point. For what we do, we don't have a choice. Therefore, whatever. But it's to the point now. You got to get on with life, man. Like this whole practicing your bass life, playing with yourself. It's not fun, right? That's right. You do get better, but it's kind of whatever. So back to the Dolan show. We had a great time there. First time I played, you said probably one of the funniest things. Do you remember what you said to me on the Saturday night? I laughed. It was one of the. So we're loading out. Well, actually, we're not. We're done.
Just finished.
And Shaky comes up to me. He goes, "I should have said this to you on Thursday, but I didn't want you to get a big head. You're the shit, man. You're super tight and you're great." And I started laughing. It's like I already got a big head. You could have told me Thursday. It's no big deal. But we had a lot of fun. We showed up, and it was myself, you, Kyle. Was Jordan with us?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was, and Leith was Leith. Yeah. Leith. Powerhouse, right?
That was a great time. Yeah.
Well, we just rolled up, and it was just like, holy crap, this band's been together for 10 years. Yeah. That's kind of what we were talking about. Are you doing like a few of those shows every now and again, or is it you're getting to do more practice? Like you getting called upon to?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly shows, yeah, for sure. I mean, before, well, now not as much, but yeah, no, yeah, called upon for shows, absolutely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So we're about to wrap, but here's your chance, okay? So you want to find these guys. Where can they find you first?
Yeah, at Shaky White on Instagram or even Facebook, Shaky White. You can find Farewell Town on farewelltown.com, at Farewell Town Music on most of the social things. Yeah, you'll probably, yeah.
And download that first album before the second, because I tell you, it's a killer album. It's country, but the boys are rock too, right? And you know, it's you'll enjoy it. So get out there and download it, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good time, and thanks for tuning in.